Some more analysis about the impact of the ceasefire, which is due to start in just over an hour's time in Idlib province. I'm joined now by Bilgehan Ozturk, live from Ankara. He's a researcher at SETA Foundation for Political, Economic and Social Research. Good to have you with us. The hope is, of course, that this ceasefire will hold and will be sustained. In terms of the humanitarian situation and the refugee situation on the ground in Idlib, just how important could this be for the people of Idlib province?
There's no doubt that it should be very important, because they have been longing for a kind of safe zone, a safety, a feeling of safety without the fear of bombs falling over their heads. But this ceasefire, yes, it seeds some hopes for the people, but it has its own vulnerabilities because of the track record of the regime, Iran and the Russia in the past. And every single time, yes, there was ceasefire, there was kind of a consensus between the parties, but they were all violated by those sides, actors, Russia, Iran, and Syrian regime. And because of this, I think people are holding a very limited, a cautious optimism at the moment. But it is still important step forward. And then the implementation and the outcomes of the ceasefire and the subsequent hope that it would create over the people is remain to be seen.
Yeah, so given that, do you think it's likely that people who've been displaced will now start to return home? I mean, this is clearly one of the hopes that international powers, including the EU, are holding out for, that displaced people will stop trying to flood in towards the EU. Do you think that is realistic?
Mm-hmm. Well, as long as the regime continues its rhetoric, its deeds, and its vows to annihilate all the people who sided with the Syrian revolution, I think it is not very likely. Yes, within the area that is demarcated de facto by the ceasefire, which is the north part of M4 highway. Yes, people could go to their country, a home of origin, but the ones which are controlled by the Syrian regime, I think it is not likely. No one would dare go back there as long as Syrian regime remains intact, because everybody is aware of the regime's nature. And we experienced, all of them witnessed in the past, the reconciliation in other areas such as Daraa, such as Eastern Ghouta. Those who reconciled with the regime, all they were subjected to injustices, and they were all killed somehow. So people are aware of these intentions and also the track record. So as long as Syrian regime controls these areas, I don't think it is quite possible for people to even think about going back to these areas under the regime control.
Bilgehan, thank you. Bilgehan Ozturk there in Ankara.